Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Reverse Sweep. The end of the qualifier weeks for Stage 2 is finally here. We get a major next week located in none other than Boston, Massachusetts. And this is our last episode before we get the revival of Doug Sensor Martin on the show. A lot of you guys have been commenting, where's Doug? Doug needs to come back. Doug's coming back for the major episodes. So we'll have Doug back. Gentlemen, I'm joined by Mr. Patrick Aches Price and Chris, aka Parasite. How we doing?
Doing good. Some crazy matches this split, and yeah, I'm excited to see Doug. Hopefully, when we get him, it'll be coming off a Boston home series challenger win for him. I know that'll be interesting to hear him and Chris. Hopefully, it's a Chris versus Doug grand final.
That would be
That's
crazy.
what I want.
That would be funny.
That's what I want. That'll make the reverse sweep episode really good. But yeah, no, it's been good, man. It's been good, and had some good games this weekend. I'm excited for Boston though. It's going to be cold as hell.
Man.
I saw the low was like -5 and the high was like 20. So that's the part I'm not too excited about, but it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. Just excited for the event. The qualifiers are pretty good. We had a lot of crazy results, a lot of crazy matches. We got the resurgence of OpTic. Obviously, Scump retired. There was a lot of things happening in this split. So we got a lot to talk about. We got a big major ahead of us.
Yeah, and between just me and Pat in the room, Chris, you come head to head with Doug this weekend. What's the result looking like?
Doug's had our number online. I think we've lost to him I think 2 times in the online matches.
Oh no.
So yes, man, third time's the charm. We got LAN coming up. It's going to be fun if we do end up playing those guys.
I love that. Well, we do have a special edition of the reverse sweep. We're going to be diving into a bracket. So we're going to have a full bracket up on screen here in a second. And we're going to have these two gentlemen build the perfect Major 2 bracket. If they can't decide on who's going to win, then it's going to fall to me. And nobody wants that. So hopefully these two will be able to figure out what they want when it comes to these different matchups. I do want to remind you guys to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. We actually have a cool little subscriber goal. Everyone who hates on Aches and thinks that he's not a nice guy, he's come forward and offered to donate a jersey, a signed jersey worn by none other than Aches. Aches, why don't you tell him what the goal is?
Yeah, so look, James, it's going to be a Cloud9 jersey, crispy Cloud9 jersey. I also have the option to do medium or large here, so get to pick. But yeah, so we're looking for 1,000 subs. If we can get 1,000 subs from this episode, then the next one we'll announce. We'll come back and say, hey, we got it, and we'll work to be setting up that giveaway for an old Cloud9 jersey.
I'm not gonna lie. If I won that jersey giveaway, I'm burning that shit.
What?
Oh my god!
That's Chris just got bad blood from when I beat him in the Cloud9 jersey a lot of times.
That is facts, but not even the EG jersey. Come on, man.
Well, you heard it here. 1,000 subs. 1,000 subs is the goal. I mean, over 15,000 people watch it without subbing. So I mean, 1,000 shouldn't be a problem. We'll give away that Cloud9 jersey. I do recommend. Should they wash it when they receive it, or
no? It'll come washed, okay. Signed, ironed, the whole nine, folded nice and neat. Yeah. And another thing too is like this is kind of like the first one that we're gonna do. So if this one works out, we see success, and there's a lot of people that do sub, then we'll have more in the future and more cool things that we can do. So just to start, so make sure we get in on this one and get these 1,000 subs.
Beautiful. Let's get into the bracket, and we'll pull up the graphic here. So. How we're going to do this is the guys are going to dive into each match. We're going to talk about the matches this weekend because there was some crazy ones as we go through this when we dive into each team, how the teams got to this position. And we're going to see if we can get in a 100% perfect bracket. I'm going to stay out of this.
Should we bet on it? Like after we get the bracket done, should we submit like one of those perfect bracket
we
bets?
Should.
Like
100%.
Yeah, and see how it does.
Yeah. The official reverse sweep one and see if we win, he'll give away 2 jerseys. There we go. Alrighty. I mean, right at the top, let's start off with OpTic versus LAT. Both of them played today. Both of them successfully pulled off a reverse sweep.
They've been watching, James. They've been watching the reverse sweep. That's why they had the good juju.
So what did we think of the matches today? I guess we could just start with LAT's match and their reverse sweep.
Yeah, theirs was weird, man. I don't understand this LAT team at all. Boston obviously started hot, absolutely fried them on the first map. It wasn't even close. And going into like game 4, we get a completely different envoy than we got game 1. But for me, this whole thing about Boston just comes down to their game 5s. Like, I don't know how many times we're gonna see. I think they're 0-5 in game 5s this in Modern Warfare 2, but man, this team is just struggling. They struggled in game 5 last year. I actually wish we had Doug on because I wanted to tell Doug I think he needs to come in when they're about to start a game 5 and just like gas up the boys, because I don't know if it's a confidence thing or what, but they start super slow. They go behind. They have no ice. And so yeah, I mean, it's I don't know what to think about them. And then obviously we have a Thieves who are super inconsistent, start slow, show some life, lose some insanely close games, but managed to pull out a reverse sweep here today. I don't know about you, Chris, but I'm not confident on either of those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I've already said it. With the Thieves, they just don't look particularly strong at like anything.
Yeah,
I can't. Whenever predicting their series, I'm like, I don't know what these vetoes are going to look like. You saw the vetoes of their series versus Boston. They're playing two of their like worst maps record wise, and I'm just like, I don't understand what their team's niche is. I don't know what their goal is in winning series. They just seem like sometimes they'll look good in one game mode and they'll just be poor at the other. And I don't really know where to rank this team. As for Boston, they everyone says they're like the best scrim team. Like supposedly they are the best scrim team, not FaZe, not OpTic, not Ultra, right? Not New York. It's fucking Boston. So to me, it tells me that, at least based on, what I've heard and the results in matches, is these guys thrive in no pressure situations, right? In scrims and stuff like that at the beginning of matches, if they're starting off hot and they're looking good, they're thriving. But once something starts to go wrong and the pressure's on them to turn it around, or basically steer the car away from driving off a cliff on a highway, it seems like they can never take control of these series towards the tail ends, and
Mike
they
went
end
up
up
2-0
struggling.
and Thieves win map 3, and then they just roared back.
That's the second time they've been reverse sweeped, at least that I'm fairly sure. The first time was versus New York early in the first qualifier, and then this is the second time. I don't remember if the other ones that they've lost game 5 were reverse sweeps, but in general, these guys I feel like they just put all their energy into the first couple maps, and then they just kind of like fall off. They let off the gas pedal. They can't regain. And I don't know. I'm just not particularly strong on the making a run. Because usually the teams that do make these runs are very gritty teams. They can close out these series in game 5s.
But then on the flip side, we got OpTic, and then they managed to reverse sweep as well. But they've looked, I mean, honestly, ever since making this change, they've looked pretty good. Like, all things considered, obviously had a shaker series here or there, but man, Dashy, ever since he got dropped, not once but twice, like he's actually been frying. Like he's climbing the ranks very quickly for one of, if not the best player in the game. Like he hasn't had a bad series almost yet this stage. And even when they lose, like he's got like a 1.2, like most damage in lobby, most kills in lobby, like just absolutely doing his thing. We saw today he had a series, broke the kill record, broke the damage record. He's just been absolutely frying, and I think they're all doing solid, but him in particular has been insane since this whole Seth retirement thing. And obviously we saw, it was confirmed this week that Rambo is officially no longer coaching. He's not directly involved with anything in the team. And I mean, we've obviously had a few convos on the reverse sweep about what we think about coaches and how their kind of dynamic plays into a team in today's Call of Duty. And honestly, yeah, I think not having a type of coach like that benefits these 4 guys. Like they get to play more free, they get to play more the way they kind of want to play, and like the cracked era kids, because that's kind of what this squad is. And so yeah, I think OpTic's just in a good position to get better. And so for me, looking at these two teams, James, I personally don't think these have a chance. I think these are just average at everything, like Chris said, and OpTic's on like an incline of getting better at basically every game mode and having a player who is just returning to greatness almost. So for me, this is a clean OpTic victory, probably a 3-0, maybe a 3-1 if these is able to sneak one. What about you, Chris? What do you think?
Oh shit, man, you got a mouthful to say, but I honestly couldn't agree more with you. I think OpTic's trending upwards, obviously since bringing on Dashy and Seth retiring. Unfortunately, probably not the way you wanted to see OpTic trend upwards. Obviously, a lot of people would still like to see the King playing, but I mean, regardless, still good for the green wall. Dashy's been putting on a show. But as for this series, man, yeah, I don't think OpTic, I don't think the Thieves stand a chance with their current form. But at the end of the day, you never know what you're going to get out of those guys. Those guys obviously have the potential to kind of just turn it on at any given moment. But the way OpTic's currently playing, I mean, they were able to take out I think they were able to take out two of our like top three teams at the time when we were talking about Toronto, FaZe, and New York. They were able to take out two of those teams in the qualifier. So, I mean, like, dude, these guys are looking good. Honestly, can't wait to see them play on LAN, and hopefully, they put on a show for us. But yeah, definitely got OpTic in this series.
Now, I have a question, like a side question, kind of based off of what you both said there in regards to kind of Rambo not being there and coaches in general. If OpTic were to have lost today's match against FaZe, like a quick 3-0, or say they get upset first round by LAT, do you think that's where them not having a coach and having a younger team could fault them a little bit in not having Rambo to play that role to maybe help them regain a little bit in those scenarios? Or do you think it's not really a factor that even though they are young, they've all been playing Call of Duty for a long time? So
just based on like the personalities on the team, I really don't feel like they kind of need somebody there to help them regain. I know Shotzi likes to crack jokes, and he communicates really well, and Hook is usually always like has a super positive mindset. So I don't really feel like anyone on that team, maybe Bruce at times can kind of get a little down, but outside of that, I don't really feel like these guys have that side of personality where they get down on themselves. Like, they're all young kids and they're all hungry to win. And like, when you have that type of mindset, like, even if you're down, like, you're never out, like, in your mindset. So I don't really feel like they struggle from that sort of concept at all.
And to your original point, James, I was actually thinking about this when Ray did say that, or when Ray announced that he wasn't coaching anymore, is like, let's say they were down, like, also being young kids, like, I know Ray would obviously be trying to help, but there's always that added risk of like, someone trying to be like, hey guys, like, it's not out, like, blah, blah, but stressing you out, right? And that may also affect their performance. So that's kind of the vibe I got personally from Hook when I teamed with him in Black Ops 4, where it was like, he kind of didn't want to hear that type of stuff. Like, that didn't really help him. So I don't know. Yeah, I think there's a convo to be had of whether that is a plus or a minus for these guys. But I think, I think these guys would just rally behind, being young, getting hyped together, and gassing each other up. And so I think that's what they would rely on.
Yeah, it was just something I was thinking about when they first went down 2-0. I was like, oh. Anyways. Let's move on to Subliners versus Rocker. And for these, we'll just talk about the teams specifically in their series today. We don't have to talk around the flip side until we get to that team for the games that they played today or this weekend. So we'll start NYSL Rocker. We can start with NYSL. Came off a little bit of a tough loss. How are we feeling going into this Rocker matchup?
What about?
I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are coming off a victory at Raleigh, a pretty dominant victory, and honestly, a pretty dominant stage, right? Like, aside from their loss, like, I think New York has been playing amazing. HyDra in particularly has been absolutely insane. I know a lot of players are like, is he the best player in the game? Like, they're making that convo for him. And yeah, I mean, I know they had a loss. Kismet played pretty bad. I made a joke like someone put a muzzle on the Bulldog, but I don't think we're gonna see that too often. Because this team has been super consistent. All these guys have stepped up and frying. And I think this is also a team who gets a little better on LAN, like getting into that environment like they did at Raleigh. And then on the flip side, I don't know what to expect from Rocker anymore. Like, Afro is probably their best player, right? But some series Bance has been playing the best, and we haven't been getting some production out of Afro. Cammy, in my opinion, has been super lackluster all year long. Like, I don't know where that guy went, but he needs to come back and come back fast. And then Dill's just kind of always the same constant, but I just don't feel like Rocker has enough takeover power. And they start every series incredibly slow. They'll have random series where they just all fry and win quickly, but like it's so rare that it's like majority of the time they're just choking, starting slow, and not playing to par. So for me, obviously New York's coming off an event win a few weeks, about a month and a half ago. I think they're still the favorite here. I think they'll deal with Rocker with ease.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat with at least New York. I think New York is a super consistent team. These guys are obviously the reigning champions from the last event. So although I do have them moving forward, just to touch on Rocker a bit, I think Rocker for the most part this stage has been good. And they were pretty good last stage. But then online they kind of flopped. The difference here in this stage is although they have looked pretty good, a lot of we're seeing when they're playing some of these better teams now, they're winning their map ones. And that's like the difference maker for me in terms of like the Rocker of old from the last split, where they're just like they're actually showing the potential that they're just not going to be this typical Rocker cursed team where they're just losing every first map. They're showing they can start hot. They're taking the fight to some of these better teams. And although I don't have them winning this matchup in particular, I think they have improved from the last stage, at least from what we've seen online. So I do expect them to make a pretty decent losers run if they lose this match to New York.
And they got a good team to go up against. We will obviously get there, but falling against the Royal Ravens is a good team to in my opinion, face on LAN in like a bounce back series.
Yeah.
I like that. And I like this next matchup. And if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. Anyways, we've got Toronto Ultra and LAG. It's the battle of the purples. What are we thinking? What are we thinking here?
Yeah, so I know there's a little rivalry between Scrappy and Joe DeCease, but I think that rivalry was shut down pretty quickly this stage. I know there was a lot of hype going into this match. It was like, you know, whether Scrappy was going to eat his words or whatever. But honestly, I mean, I think Ultra just handed them a masterclass. Chris, I know you've been begging for teams not to play Gorillas on their best map. And finally, like, Ultra got rid of it and just absolutely fried them. I don't know. I just think Ultra out-talents these guys across the board. I know Gorillas are a good hardpoint team, but they're not nowhere near as good 2-3-5 as Ultra. And I think Ultra can hang with the best of them in hardpoint. So I don't really see a case where Gorillas can beat this Ultra squad. Because I think they just outclass them in 2-3-5 and also are just as good, if not better, at some of these hardpoint maps. Like I think Gorillas could easily take a hardpoint in this series, depending on how the map vetoes go. But yeah, I just think Ultra is just incredibly consistent. They have such a deep map pool. They're good at every mode, and they have players who just can absolutely take over games, multiple, not just one or two. And so for me, I also want to think that Ultra get better on LAN as we've seen in past events. So for me, I'm going to go Ultra here. I don't think it's going to be close. Maybe Gorillas win a hard point if they get the map one veto that they want. But yeah, I'm going with a repeat of how they matched up this weekend and going Ultra.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm not necessarily trying to parrot you,
Chris,
but as we discussed,
you might have to go first in the next
listen,
one.
man, we discussed it on the flank. I think the first round matches have some pretty decent, like pretty clear favorites. So once we dive a little bit further in the tournament, we might have some disagreements. But I mean, once again, yeah, Toronto handled these guys pretty easily online, and I couldn't have said it better myself. I think Toronto, so the difference between like Toronto and LAG is not only is Toronto's map pool very polished, it's the control game. And as you saw with control in some of these series, it's that swing mode, man. Like you saw it in the reverse sweeps that happened. You saw it when FaZe was actually playing against the LA Gorillas in their series, and aBeZy was able to go on this tear and light a fire and just absolutely have his way for the rest of the series. I think it's just Toronto is just a better team right now. I do see a world where LAG could win if they make the improvements necessary, because they are pretty dominant in hardpoint. They still beat Toronto in one of the hard points online in their qualifying match before ultimately getting shut down. But I mean, it's just going to come down to whether the the Gorillas team can make those improvements to make this a series. But overall, yeah, Toronto definitely winning this one unless some miracle happens with improvements.
I also think, Chris, even if we did see a game 5, I don't really have faith in the Gorillas to have the ice to beat Ultra in a game 5. Like, I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, if it goes to that type of matchup, I think I just favor Ultra there every time. Even if this series was like Ultra had to end up Nesloing, they lose both hard points. Like, I have full faith Toronto would close out a game 5 against this squad.
Yeah, I mean, probably. But I will say that in the game versus FaZe, when they were ultimately, you know, getting pushed to that reverse, or not reverse sweep, but to that match. Was it a reverse sweep?
You just keep plugging the reverse sweep, Chris.
Hold on, Pat, do you remember if the LAG match was it was a reverse sweep by FaZe? In the reverse sweep that they had versus FaZe, or that FaZe had versus LAG start off that map going up like 5-2, maybe? I can't remember, but they were pretty heavily dominating the map until I guess FaZe turned it around. So I mean, a little bit of lack of ice for the LAG. So I can see what you mean by them not having or by you not having any faith in them.
Now, I have a question. I don't know if I'm crazy for this, but has there been more inconsistency in this game and in teams this year than in the past? I feel like that word has been used so frequently across the board with a lot of teams. Is it more than normal, or am I crazy?
No, I can agree with you there. I think this split had a lot of 3-2 and 2-3 teams. There wasn't like very many clear-cut teams that were like dominating their opponents outside of like Ultra in New York, and I think even OpTic had a really good one. But for the most part, there's gonna be a lot of inconsistencies in this game, because not only is the game like nerf skill gap wise, I know we've touched on that before in some of our other episodes, but the way the veto system works right now, and like obviously it's a coin flip, right? I'm pretty sure it's a coin flip whether a team gets to choose A or B in their matches,
but not at LAN.
Okay, so in these online matches, when you have this coin flip, there's like no like clear advantage sometimes to like being a certain team, because as we see with the control in the map pool, for the control at least, you can, if you're the better team at control, let's say, you can get rid of Fortress Control, because we've already said that is a Mickey Mouse map. Anyone can win it at times. So you get rid of that, and then the other team can choose one of their 2 better maps out of the normal map pool in control. So you're almost like not at an advantage when you do the control veto. So that obviously plays a part into it. But also, when you're vetoing controls, if you know a team is dominant at, like, say, Hotel, right? You veto it. And like, let's say that team doesn't also like a seal, they're really bad at it. Fuck it. Mickey Mouse, Fortress Control, just gamble, because they're not going to play their worst map. So if you look at this qualifier, we saw a lot of Fortress Controls. I feel like I think yesterday we saw it in like 2 out of like 4 series, or 3 out of 4 series. Like, there's clear issues with the map pool. There's clear issues with the game, the veto system right now. Like, there's just so many things that play a fault into like why this game is kind of inconsistent right now. And I think teams are kind of like struggling to find their footing and find their niches in some of these map pools because of it, which is leading to, I mean, look at the series with Thieves today, Pat. Like, bro, they had like 2 of their worst maps in there. Yeah, and they still won. Like,
yeah, they won their game. They won game 5 on their worst SD map and lost map 2 on their best S&D map.
Bro, I said it. I'm like, I can't even predict these series, bro, because I don't even know what this, like, I literally said yesterday, Seattle is like, oh, KDs don't matter. They win all their hard points. Today, they didn't win a hard point. Like,
yeah, they lost with Pred. The Pred had a 1.4, and the rest of them had like 0.6 to 0.7. I can't predict a
single series anymore. Like, it's just too many inconsistencies. It's hard to tell who's gonna win. It's just a guessing game.
But Chris, there is one series when I can absolutely predict it, and that's gonna be FaZe against Breach. No shot, in my opinion, that Breach can win this. Breach is a good team, but have legit negative ice. They just melt no matter who they play. If it goes game 5, this team is just gone. And I think FaZe is the one squad that, at worst case scenario, will push this Breach team to a game 5, even if it all goes wrong for FaZe. But I've said it before, and I think FaZe is really going to come to play. Like, I know we saw today, they go up 2-0 against OpTic. They look dominant. They 6-1 them on search. I think FaZe is in form. Obviously, I know that it ended up getting reverse swept, but all the maps were very competitive and close. And I think FaZe is just going to have that kind of like arc this event where they just come to play, beat everybody in front of them, and steamroll the winner bracket. But for me, yeah, I don't think this goes back to the convo of like FaZe just out talents this Breach team, and Breach struggles with this against a lot of the top echelon teams. And to me, the only way Breach can win this is like either FaZe just are absolutely drunk on the night before they play him and forget how to do the veto process and give them all their best maps, which I don't think will happen. But yeah, I just think FaZe is just better in every game mode almost. And especially if we go to game 5, it's an automatic win. So for me, this is a FaZe no-brainer.
See, I think FaZe is going to win, so we can agree on that. However, I think you're not giving Boston enough credit. These guys are obviously heralded as the best scrim team, and I know scrims don't actually play any matter into the actual
there's
results.
No pressure online. There's a lot of pressure here when you play against FaZe in your home series.
I feel like for the most part, they're able to take every series pretty far, regardless if they win or lose or not. Sure, they can't ice up, but I think the ultimate decider in why I pick FaZe to win in this series is just simply their S&D. Their S&D this split has looked ridiculously good, and for the most part, Boston, and like you said, in those game 5s is pretty bad. So I think for the most part, it's just going to come down to what team can win that control to ultimately swing the
series
in their favor. But I do have FaZe winning this for sure.
Now, sorry, go ahead, Pat.
I was just gonna say, and I'm honestly, I really hope all these matches do happen this way, because when we look at winners round 2, like these are probably top 4 teams right now. Like, yeah, in winners round 2, like all 4 of them at the current moment. So I think winners day 2 or whenever winners 2 starts, that'll be like banger after banger.
Now, actually, I'll save my question when we get down to Breach versus Surge. But one question I do want to ask before we go on to the losers bracket: if there was an upset, if you had to pick one upset out of these first 4 matches, which one are you going with?
Thieves OpTic.
I'm going with Rocker New York. Rocker beating New York. Because, like I said, I think Rocker have made the improvements necessary. I don't think Thieves has made any improvements in terms of them being able to prove to me that they can make tournament runs or beat any of these top teams consistently. However, with Rocker, like I said, they've definitely made improvements to the point where at least I can see it's noticeable. So maybe they come out and surprise us. That's my series for sure.
I just think Rocker gets worse on land. That's why I wasn't taking them.
Okay.
And I think Thieves get better on land. So that was my thinking.
Yeah, I respect it. We'll lock it in and we'll move to losers bracket. So we have Thieves versus Florida.
This one's impossible, bro. Like, what version of these teams are we gonna get? That's my question.
This is impossible to you?
Yeah, like, dude,
Thieves is winning.
No, but dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, we could get the super below average Thieves, and then we could somehow get the Florida who can win a hard point. Like, I honestly don't know what to think in this series, Chris, because I do agree. I think Thieves will win it, but like Florida just has that like weird dark horse potential where they just play weird. I've said it before, but I just think this team just plays so strange. They play different than every other team. They're not straightforward at all in their play style. They play S&D, a very different style. I just think the problem that obviously hurts Florida is they're just incapable, it feels like, of winning respawns. But who knows, right? Like, who knows if Havoc just has a series where he just fries, or I think Dave Patty's back now. If he does, and do we get what version of Major Mania? I just don't know what version of these players we're gonna get on LAN in a loser bracket setting. But again, I think Thieves is the more talented team by a lot. But who knows what versions we'll get. I'll go Thieves though to play it safe.
Listen, I'm gonna break it down to you exactly how this series is gonna go down. I'm gonna tell you exactly how this series goes down. Thieves, the veto HyDra hardpoint. That's been the one map that I think Florida were like close to winning twice. You get rid of it, okay? That leaves Hotel in the mixture probably, because I know Florida also likes to play Hotel. Yep, you're probably playing Hotel in that series. What did Thieves just do to what team did they just play today?
Boston.
They shot on them Hotel. They probably play that map in that series. They win it. S&Ds. I mean, Florida's the best S&D team. You're probably gonna end up losing the search and destroys. But again, what do? You veto CeeLo control because that's like the one staple that Florida has been able to win in control. And you probably either play Hotel or Fortress. If you play Fortress, well, they beat Boston on it today. So obviously they're pretty confident on it. Granted, it is a Mickey Mouse map. You're probably going to play it in the series. And I don't know. I just feel like map pool wise and the way I can like picture these vetoes going down in my head, they probably favor the Thieves. And I feel like the Thieves are, they're just a better land team. I think Mutineers might have got worse with their current change. So I don't really have any faith in them. I think that we saw them get 100-point clubbed in like Embassy. So like, dude, I don't even know what maps these guys can play outside of like HyDra hardpoint. So still have no faith in them winning a hardpoint.
Do you think they shot themselves in the foot by making a change this late in the stage, or you think it was kind of just?
I just think because I know you said they might have got worse. I don't know if that team could have gotten worse. Like, you know what I mean? That's just like a clean swap.
They're a bad team, but they're really good at search. Like when I say like they're dominant at search, like there could be a world where they made a change because Brack was really strong in search. They made a change that they somehow got worse. Like they were winning searches. Like then they're in big trouble. As for them making a change, I don't think they really shot themselves in the foot with the timing of it. I mean, all they did was bring in their sub. It's not like they missed out on any opportunities to get players. Like no team has actually sat there and actually outside of the Gorillas, bringing in their academy roster, essentially, no team has made a move for challengers players. And if I'm Florida isn't going to get anybody in the pro league. They're not going to make a trade. Yeah. If they're going to get better by making changes, it's going to be through challengers. So I don't feel like they've missed out on anybody yet because nobody's been picked up from that side. So they're in a fine spot in terms of like if they fuck up this major, maybe they reevaluate their roster changes again. But
if they fuck up, I think we're saying here that they're going to have a short trip to Boston. So is that what we're going with? LAT winning?
We're going with LAT for sure.
They'll be catching their flight Friday night for sure.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and just remove that off the screen. Bring LA down. And then we will bounce on over to Rocker versus London.
Chris, you can take this one first, bro, because I know how I feel about this.
The Ravens are just not good. Like they're just not. They've now made 2 roster changes. They dropped the guy and brought him back.
It's impressive, really.
They haven't looked good at, once again, like anything. They're like the opposite. They're like Thieves, but worse. It's like they have no niche, but like they're serviceable sometimes. Whereas the Ravens have no niche, and most of the time they're just not good. I think this team is just a waiting room for certain European players to get their visas. Because I think ASIM is very good, and I think Nasty has had some maps in some of these series where he's played well. So I don't think he's really going to be going anywhere. As for the rest of the team, I just don't think they're producing consistently enough for them to make these runs and beat these good teams. I know Scraps had a really good series versus Florida, and Paul's been okay, but like we're talking about like bad teams here. It's not like they're playing FaZe and people like Toronto and keeping the series close. So yeah, I just think Rocker is going to wipe the floor with them, regardless. But I mean, if Rocker is really an online warrior team, this is the battle of the onliners for sure.
I feel like you're going to echo that, Pat, but so I want to add an additional layer. Like if you are London, like what is the mindset going into Boston?
Do the best we can, get as many points as we can. Just unfortunately, it's probably going to be 0. But yeah, I think I agree with Chris. This is a roster change waiting to happen. So I think the players who think or know that they're safe are just begging to win series so they can at least get some points for later down the road. But again, I think we're missing the most important factor of the Royal Ravens, which is as soon as these guys get on land and the lights shine down on them, they play with their feet. Like they just get absolutely smoked. That's been the case for this team for a while. I know they have some different personnel on the roster, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any way they can win this series or make a run at this tournament. I think it's just one of those things where they made some questionable moves. They have a questionable team. I think Rocker could come out and just not play good at all, but I still have faith Rocker's gonna advance.
Alrighty.
So we'll see you in Major 3, Ravens.
Maybe a little bit more interesting one for the next matchup. We have LAG versus LVL, Las Vegas Legion. LVL is kind of a hard name. I don't know why they don't adapt that a little bit more.
Well, they do have level up, right? Is there like little?
Oh, and do they just do like LVL up, or do they spell it out? Okay, at least they use it a little bit.
LVL up, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one for me. Basically, we have like a very good S&D squad going up against a very good hardpoint team, but we did see a little life out of the Legion this major. Somehow beat OpTic and beat them in respawns. Which I think, honestly, if you're a Gorillas team, you're kind of worried by that, right? Like, if we somehow get a Vegas team that's going to win a respawn in this series, I think we favor them massively in the searches already. I know LAG had hype with this change, with this roster. I really see an upset happening here. I think Vegas is kind of on a last leg where it's like, they're just having these poor performances online. They don't have a facility. I think they get better on land, but I think there's a little bit of desperation in this team, right? Like they know
they need to make a run.
Right, yeah. If they have any chance of doing anything this year, it has to come from acquiring points at these CDL events. So yeah, I'm gonna call the upset. I think Vegas is gonna pull it out, maybe a 2-3-5 or just go game 5 and win it. I think it'll be a close series regardless, but I'm gonna go with a Legion upset.
Oh God.
This is a tough one for me to call as well. I do think the Legion obviously outclasses these guys in the search, and we saw them have some life. But I think regardless, with LAG and how I saw their academy team play on LAN and against the pro teams, and also even if they do lose to the Ultra, they're going to have a series under their belt while the Legion don't. So they're going to be able to clean up their mistakes. They're going to have a little bit of XP, they're going to be a little bit more warm, right? Knowing what went wrong in the Toronto series if they do lose that. I think they're just going to come out hot and they're going to probably beat Vegas, but I can see this going game 5. I think this is just 50-50, man. Like Vegas do get better on LAN. At least they did at the Raleigh Major, and they did show some life in their last qualifier match, but I still think I got LAG winning that. So, I mean, it's going to come down to you, James.
Oh no. The first pick. Oh, let me think here. Because in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, 3 out of the 4 of these the LAG roster got a lot of reps in Raleigh. But Las Vegas,
they didn't have a poor performance at Raleigh. They got 6th, I think, right?
Yeah, no, I was talking about the Challengers roster though.
Oh yeah.
They got a lot of reps in.
I just know the Challenger team took like some of these good teams to the brink and was literally 1 game away from beating FaZe, 1 actual match away from making it to the actual major bracket.
Yeah.
And then even after that, they went to the Challenger tournament and just shit on everyone. And that was obviously without Arcides, which arguably Arcides is potentially an upgrade for Diamond Con given his reputation. I just don't see a world where these guys are just going to go out and get double first rounded at their first major together as finally in the pro league.
But that's why it'll happen because you don't see it happening.
I mean, yeah, it's 50-50, bro. I mean, James, you're just going to throw a dart at the board, bro.
And it's landing purple. I'm going to go with LAG. Sorry, Matt.
Listen, we'll revisit this. We'll revisit this.
Nah.
All righty. Now, before we get on to this last, I guess, losers bracket matchup, I have a question that I kind of thought of while I was thinking about Boston in this scenario. Do you think that there's like an oh shit moment that comes into play here with Boston because of how Raleigh went? It being their home major, where all of a sudden, no matter how close the series is with FaZe, they're all of a sudden back against the wall. Holy shit, we can't get double first rounded.
again.
Again.
They didn't get double first round. They just got
the last time
they
they
didn't
went
make
out
the pro
on Thursday.
bracket.
They set a record last time. Earliest pro team to exit a tournament. But I agree, James. I think it's absolutely something. Like, I don't think any team that's a home series team wants to go out early, right? Like, it's bad for everybody. I think it happened to Rocker at one of their events not too long ago. But yeah, I mean, when you're hosting a home series, like, you want your team to do well. Like, look at the New York event last year when, like, New York was able to make that finals run at their home venue. Like, that was sick. That got everybody involved. And this is it's not the first Call of Duty event that we've ever had in Boston, but it is the first CDL Boston event. And so I do think it's a big deal. But unfortunately for them, they're going up a team who I think is a really tough matchup for them. Because Breach has to be on point in respawns. Like, Surge is horrible at Surge. We know this. Like, Surge is probably never winning a Surge ever again until they blow it up. But Surge does get a little bit better on land. They obviously got second the last event. We do have to give credit in that regard. It's a really tough matchup for them because I think, like, slaying power wise, like, Sib and Pred could just solo come out and just body Breach. Like, I really think if Sib and Pred have one of those, like, duo series where they both have, like, 1.3s, 1.4s, just don't lose gunfights, I don't think Breach stands a chance. Like, I really don't. I think this one is going to be closer than I'm thinking. And to me, it really comes down to how Breach perform in these respawns. But it's a tough one to call. I'm going to go Surge. I think Surge will show a little bit of life here. Just a tiny bit. Not a lot. Just a tiny bit of life. Because going from 2nd to 12th would be extremely drastic. But I think Surge pull it out. I just think they win the respawns.
I think this matchup is just a battle of, like, the last chance. Like, I feel like Breach, although they've been serviceable online and having these decent splits and taking some of these teams to the brink, I think they're at a point where they're probably going to be fed up if they go out again at another major with how they've looked online and in scrims. And if they do, like, flop out again, especially at their own major, like, there's got to be a change coming at some point. And although I know Zinni's been playing well and Awakening's been playing well, their substitute is Beans. And they also got Kremp on there. Like, there's a world where, like, they can go for one of these guys and try to, like, maybe
or
just
both.
change up, or both, maybe, I don't know, and try to, like, switch up the vibe, right? So I think these guys are going to come out backs against the wall, and they're probably gonna beat Surge. I just think, although Surge, I feel like, should be the better team, Surge is just, they've just been getting Kentucky fried this stage, dude. Like, they can't win Surge still. We saw their weaknesses in Hardpoint.
But they somehow beat New York.
they didn't particularly look good in Control. I just don't like. I know online to LAN is different, but I feel like Breach has actually at least been pushing teams. But, like, Seattle's been just folding over and just dying.
It depends on what version of them we
series.
get, though, Chris. Right? Like, that's literally been the story of Surge forever. What version of Surge do we get? Do we get the version where Sib and Pred are 1.3, 1.4, and Mac and Lamar are 1.0? Or do we get the version where, like, Pred's a 1.2, Sib's a 0.8, Lamar's a 0.5, Mac's a 0.6? Like, which version of this team do we get in this matchup? That's the question. And I think, depending on that answer that you think, that decides the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think at least in the last qualifiers, when they went on to get second, they weren't this bad. And they ended up getting a second place. This time, they've been fucking abysmal. As much as I like some of the people on that team, I just seen them flop over. We've been telling them to blow it up for a while. I think this is finally going to be the final straw where they just flop over, and then there's a change made. I got Breach winning this one. But, you know, like you said, there very well could be a moment where they just come out and fry. So, but I got Breach. So once again, James, it's coming down to you.
This one's not tough for me just because I'm just going to go straight from the principle of I feel like Pred and Sib are going to come out with some fire under their ass. And if Breach are in this scenario, they're having that oh shit moment. We can't get double first rounded at our own major. And so I'm going to go with Seattle.
Let's go, James. I agree with you.
Breach is
Great thinking.
gonna fold under pressure again.
That's gonna be rough for the boys in Boston.
Oh shit, bro.
I think if they go out here, roster change for sure.
So that's what I was going to ask is like, before we hop back up to the winners bracket, of the teams that are getting knocked out here. So we have Florida, London, Paris, and Boston. Do you think those are immediate roster changes just across the board? Like you kind of have to?
I feel like you have to.
I feel like you should. I don't know if they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Florida's in a tough position. They already used their sub. So like what they now have to dip into challengers. Do they do that? Do they want to sign another player?
Yeah.
Ravens, who knows what that camp is doing? They've just been recycling who they have on already. So again, I think unless they go with like the Chris, like they pick up EU players that already exist in the waiting room, who knows? Yeah. And then Legion, I don't know what Legion's going to do because their issue is that they can't get a facility because their org is full of shit. And so that they're in a unique situation, I think, because I think they could actually be a decent team if they were able to live together and play together and be in that circumstance. But yeah, for Breach, I think when you have Beans and Crimp, like it's a no-brainer. You got to make a move. If you get double first.
The thing that's tough for like Legion is because in the last major, right, they qualified for the bracket and they started in winners. So they everyone started in winners, right, at the last major. Am I wrong?
No, it was the bracket, and if you got last in your bracket, you went out or in the group play.
But everyone that qualified, wait, Legion did?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Breach. Go ahead.
No, Legion, right? Everyone qualified, and they just got put into winners round one, and everyone played against each other.
But they still won one more series.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So they got winners brackets, so they had an opportunity to kind of like play a series and then lose and then play another series. This time it's like one and done. So like if they go out, they probably just feel bad because like, dude, starting a losers bracket is literally hell. Like I hate this format, by the way, if you can't tell. You should never start in losers bracket. But in general, just like roster change wise, I think Florida, it's a given. Ravens, it's a given. I think Legion, I don't really know where they could go once again for changes, unless like it depends on who's bombing out on their roster at these events. And I think if anyone's going to bomb out, it's probably Clay with his recent online performances. So yeah, I don't know what they would do there, but as for Breach, I still see a world where like, even if they get double first round, shit, maybe they're like, unfortunate. We were like one series away from one map away, realistically, one round away from qualifying for winners bracket. We just had a tough draw. We've had some good online results. So stick it out.
Back to the drawing board. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, for the rest of the teams, I feel like for the most part, it's a no brainer in terms of making changes if they bomb out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Weird situation.
And just a quick little intermission. I do want to bring up that I didn't mention in the beginning, but we do have a little community segment at the end. I did go through all the comments. So after we get through that final thing, I have a couple questions for the guys that we will get to. And make sure you guys keep commenting questions and stuff. We've got a lot of hot takes in there. A lot of you guys will say a bunch of stuff, but make sure you ask questions. I want to be here to deliver those to them. So let's get on to the winner's side. So straight on up to OpTic versus NYSL. This is going to be a hot match. The venue's going to be alive for this.
Yeah, this is going to be good. I think too, this is like this is a big momentum series, regardless of who wins it. Like whoever wins this series is going to get a ton of momentum and ride it. Like if OpTic wins, they're beating the champs, right? The reigning champs. If New York wins, well, they're beating the Green Wall, and like we know their fan base is going to be there. So I think either way, this is going to be a big series. It's tough for me because if MY is playing to the form that they've been at for a while, that they were at Raleigh, I really don't think OpTic can beat them. I think NYSL is just a better team all around. It's going to be tough. It's going to require HyDra to be HyDra. Like he's going to have to be frying. We're going to need to see P-Dog that we saw at Raleigh. I think that was a huge catalyst. I know we gassed up Kismet, but Kiz is kind of like 99 overall. Like he was just doing his thing all event. He obviously won the MVP, but the surprising factor to me was Priesta. So
Priesta's looked good online though. Like
no, he has. He's just looked good in this game. Period. So for me, I mean, I think if as long as NY can come in and do their thing, I obviously also NY was playing a series where they had like the tech issues, remember?
Yep.
And I think they were frustrated because they're 0-2 to tech issues against them. So I think they're going to come out hot. I think this is like NY's, big series to push them to another winter final, potentially grand final. So I'm going to go New York Subliners. I just haven't seen them fall off from this online stint. And I think OpTic's still quite not there yet.
I think I'm in the same boat as you here. As much as I want to see OpTic make a run, which I think if they drop into losers, I do have them making a pretty long run, potentially even to the grand finals through losers. But at least this matchup wise, I think New York is just such a polished team. And I think there's clear holes in OpTic's gameplay, and they rely a lot on just really big individual performances, as you saw kind
like
of
a
with
40
the
and
Dashy.
20 game.
Yeah, or like Shotzi just like going rogue. Like it doesn't ever really feel like it's like a team, like outside of like maybe one series this stage. I think it was their second series that they played. I can't remember versus who it was, but it was after their first loss. Where it was the Toronto one. It was the Toronto one where they all like played really well.
Yeah.
But outside of that, every other series they've played, it's like they're relying on like one person to just simply go massive on a map, whether it's Illy sniping on like an S&D or Shotzi just going rogue and finding all these bloods or Dashy dropping 40. Like it hasn't really felt like they're all like just frying as a group, while New York on the other hand is like, we see all of them whenever they're playing well.
Yeah.
Just popping off. Sky's dropping massive numbers. Kismet's fucking dropping 100 million engagements. HyDra's frying. Priestess frying. I just think New York is more put together. And I think I have them just taking the edge against OpTic in this specific series.
Beautiful. Well, OpTic falls down to losers. New York to winners final. But who's going to meet them in winners final? We have Toronto Ultra or Atlanta FaZe.
This is going to be my favorite match of the whole tournament. And I hope we get a rematch here somehow in the grand finals. Man, this is going to be a good series. I think so obviously to me, these are two of our top three teams. On any given day, they're, in my opinion, swappable. Like Ultra could be the best team. FaZe could be the best team. New York could. But, James, I did make a call that I'm riding with the Atlanta FaZe for Major 2. And I think they're going to come in hot. I think Ultra, this is not going to be a blowout by any means. I think this is going to be an insanely close game. I'm hoping for a game 5, round 11, and FaZe finally get like a clutch up victory to kind of steamroll them ahead. But with that being said, I think Ultra has been so dominant at control, and that's what scares me here in this series, because Ultra's obviously very strong at hardpoint S&D, so is FaZe, but I think control, Ultra definitely has the leg up on them. And so I think FaZe really cannot let that game 2 S&D slip, because I think Toronto will win the control no matter what. But I'm going to go FaZe here, and I'm going to go a FaZe victory game 5.
Chris? You're muted. You good?
I'm going to go with Ultra simply because of the results. The reason being is both these teams played against the same matches. They all played against the same teams. Ultra lost to OpTic. FaZe also lost to OpTic. Both teams played LAG. One went map 5. The other was a smoke show. I think personally, Ultra is just currently, with their current forms online, is more polished. I think they're dominant in control, as we've seen. I see that they're good at S&D, but I'll still give S&D the edge to FaZe just because of how consistently good they've been at that mode specifically. But the hard points, I think FaZe has been wildly inconsistent in their HP. Sometimes we see them pop up and fry, and other times we see them just look like a complete fucking mess. So currently, I just think Ultra is playing at a higher level than FaZe. I know you're riding high with the FaZe boys and you want them to win. Not to say they can't do it in the losers bracket and make that run. I think that Ultra is just going to beat them in this series with their current forms. Ultra just look ridiculously good. Like they're my like best team of the split online currently.
Well then.
I mean,
So
hey,
once
I
again,
don't mind that
James,
because listen, Ultra's
it's all
2023
you.
world champions.
Yeah,
It's
and
all
so
you, James.
I know some lovely people over at the Boston camp, but I also think that like the match that they play before, I think FaZe might kind of steam through that a little bit, and it's not going to be a huge test of character. And I think that Toronto gets a little more adversity in that first series, and so I am going to go with Toronto on this matchup.
James.
And
Ultra's going to be fired
that doesn't
up,
mean that
though.
FaZe can't work their way through. But
yeah, Ultra's going to be fired up. They're going to play the Gorillas again. There's definitely
I think the crowd is going to be. I think the crowd's going to be in Toronto's favor for sure.
Wait, James, we have to flip these. It'll be FaZe at the top half of the bracket.
Yeah. You're right. Good call. I was going to ask that. Beautiful. Is that how it is?
Yeah.
I think it flips, yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it does.
It's every other round it flips.
Okay. So, and I mean, then we go straight back into it. Who's playing FaZe? As much as you don't want anyone to play FaZe in this matchup, who's playing FaZe?
Go ahead, Pat.
I don't know, Chris. I'm looking at this like, bro, this is like the same thing. This is what I hate about where we're at right now in some of these teams. It's like the teams that should be way better than they aren't. And they're like average, and they have moments of greatness, but they also just have moments of like, these guys stink. Wow, this is tough. I'm gonna have to go Thieves here. And the only reason I'm going Thieves is because I just don't trust Rocker. I think Rocker could easily be the better team here. I just don't trust them. I don't trust them to perform when it matters. I never have. I may never will. Thieves is at least coming off a world championship. This is a solid team. They have amazing comms. They've just been very average at Modern Warfare 2. But yeah, again, I just don't trust Rocker. I think Rocker really only has the edge, I guess you would say, in control here. But other than that, I mean, I'd say these teams are probably more evenly matched than we think, and we also still have the takeover power on the Thieves. Like we see Envoy can have maps, like that's true. Kenny can have maps. Draza can have maps where he just takes over. I don't have faith that like Rocker players will be consistent. Like we've been literally saying that Ben Bance is their best player sometimes. Like I don't think Bance being their best player in this series is going to get them a dub. I haven't seen anything from Cammy. He's been again extremely lackluster. I think you would need him here. I don't think any of these players are going to step up in the moment. I haven't seen that so far. So I'm going to be thinking Thieves for this one.
Shit, man. Like you said, it's tough again, like with Thieves being kind of average lately. But I take things at face value, and I've seen the improvements Rocker have made this split. They're not starting off every series they play slow. Outside of, they start off this split really sick, apparently. They got food poisoning and all that stuff. So their first matches were kind of shaky, but they did play good in their last one, and they made the necessary improvements to start off well in hardpoint. So I think these guys are starting to kind of find their footing, and I know these guys have not been the best on LAN, like as an organization. I finally got them breaking out of that shell and actually being able to put together a decent run. That is until they play FaZe. And they're gonna beat the Thieves here. I think the Thieves are just lackluster, bro. I think both of these teams are in a very similar position though, Pat, where they're both trying to find their footing. They have some good talent on their team. They just haven't been able to put it together fully. So realistically, it is kind of a coin toss. But I'm just gonna go with the Rocker on this one.
James, we're putting you on the hot seat,
I
bro,
know,
for a lot
this
of
is
these.
brutal. This is absolutely brutal. I don't know. I think that like part of me is like, for the sake of our bracket, I want to put Rocker ahead, because like if LAT just comes out flat and gets first rounded by Florida after coming down, and I don't see that happening with Rocker. Well,
to be fair, James, I think we have an easy one, because no matter what,
they're gonna lose.
Yeah,
They're losing next round. I'm sticking with purple again. I'm sorry, Pat.
We're going.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Damn, I was thinking we were gonna make a lot of money from our perfect pick'ems.
Honestly, bro, if one of us is like 100% correct, like, because I'll remember the ones I picked if hypothetically the bracket goes pretty quick. That would be
We have the
pretty
show to
nuts.
go back on and watch
just
it
be able to
back.
blame me. Comment section, blame me if it's not perfect for one of them.
Blame your purple addiction.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of purple, LAG versus Surge. Make this easy for me, guys.
I'm making this easy for you.
Yeah, I am. It's gonna be the Gorillas win.
Okay,
thank
God damn it. No,
I was worried. I was genuinely
This isn't gonna be
worried.
easy. This isn't gonna be easy. See, you got the Surge, Pat, but these two teams already played at Raleigh.
Well, here's
And
the thing.
I know it was the team that got second, but they played already with Diamond, and they got 3-0 smoke showed. That was one of, I think, the only SMDs that
Chris,
LA or Surge Way would have win.
Chris, we got a Pred and Sib that I just don't think we're gonna get. Listen, I think Pred and Sib are gonna use all their mojo to beat Breach, and then they're gonna have one of those series where, bro, the roller coaster went up, it has to come down, bro. And I see them running out of steam. Gorillas bouncing back. I actually had Legion here in my bracket. If you remember, I think Legion would have actually beat them as well. But yeah, I think Surge is too inconsistent at the moment. So I don't think we'll get back-to-back performances out of them that warrant them to move on.
Just that they're good for one.
Yeah. They're good for, that's all I can trust. And shit, maybe they won't even be good for that first one. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna ride momentum. I think they're just gonna win one. The problem here for me, Chris, is that I think LAG is as good of, if not a better hardpoint team on a consistent factor, and Surge can't win a fucking Surge, right? So Gorillas just kind of have a leg up here where it's like, okay, they'll probably take 50% of the hardpoints, but I just have full faith that they'll win the searches. Looking at, like, in this matchup. So
all right, I'm gonna give it to you only because I had Surge going out the last round. So we'll make this easy.
Okay.
We'll put LAG forward against OpTic.
Okay. Thanks, boys.
we flip-flopped in because
I would have picked purple anyway. I would have picked purple anyway. So we're just gonna keep rolling with it. How do we want to bounce around? Do we want to do this matchup next? And then
we can do losers because losers will actually follow the stream schedule. Like, losers will play this match before the winners play.
Yeah. Alrighty, and then we'll start, or do we start at the bottom or the top? What are we thinking? This one's quick.
Bottom.
These are both quick. Listen, FaZe all the way. There's no shot Rocker beat him. There's also no shot Thieves beat him if Thieves somehow beat Rocker in the round before. Honestly, there's no shot any of these teams from this first round. If magically the Ravens, Mutineers, Rocker, or Thieves advance, they're all going to lose to FaZe here no matter what. FaZe is just straightforward the better team by all of them, probably combined. So for me, this is an easy pick, FaZe.
We in agreement, Chris?
Wait, did FaZe play Rocker in their split? What was the team that
they
Rocker...
lost. Remember, they lost. But that was like a fluky one. Like,
FaZe
insta bounce back. Like, come on.
I won't pull it down yet. I'll let the man speak.
Chris, you had Thieves winning before.
Listen, bro,
Are you gonna make me put the graphic up?
Nah. It's LAN. Nah, bro. It's LAN. I think OpTic or not OpTic. Sorry, FaZe are gonna win this. But shit, they already lost to them.
That's one online series where after FaZe was like 2-0.
All right. We're gonna give it to FaZe. I think FaZe is just obviously a really good LAN team.
Bro, you also gotta think it's been like 6 million days since FaZe didn't place top 3 at an event. Like, you think they're going out to Rocker, one of, if not the worst overall LAN team in the CDL, in the history of the CDL? Like, come on, Chris. Come on.
We'll give it to FaZe.
Now, OpTic and LAG. Now, I know you guys said these are both freebies, but I feel like over the years, you see OpTic get put into like this spot, and it's been a little tough at times at this point in the tournament. Is it a freebie, or do you think there's going to be? Give me a series count on this too. 3-1, 3-2. What are we thinking? First of all, OpTic or LAG, and then give me a series count.
I got Optic just because the form the Optic's been in is just really good. And LAG again are still trying to find their footing outside of their hard points. I'm gonna give it to Optic 3-1. And I could see Optic losing maybe like the first hard point. Or like, yeah, probably the first hard point and then just running away with it the rest of the series. They play the search, they win that. They play the next respawn, they catch fire, they go into the hard point. It doesn't matter if LAG is good at it. Um, Go ahead, Pat. I actually want to think about these vetoes while you give your opinion because I'm trying to like picture these
So yeah,
vetoes in my head.
I got Optic winning. However, I don't think this is going to be close. I think this will be a 3-0. I think this will be kind of like Optic just came off a loss. This is a big bounce back series for them. They obviously are wanting to make a run in this tournament, so I think Optic is gonna smoke whoever they play here in this spot in the bracket if they lose to NY. So I got Optic 3-0. I don't think it'll be close. I don't think in this example Gorillas will have what it takes to beat him, and I don't think Optic will have sloppy vetoes like Chris, your point, to give LAG one of their better maps. So
I think this map, veto wise, is going to be very interesting though, Pat, because unless Optic is just dumb, they're going to veto Embassy.
yeah,
And then I feel like Optic or LAG is probably going to veto.
Fortress.
It's gotta
Probably, no?
be. I was gonna say,
But I feel like Fortress
Hotel.
or Hotel Optic wins it, like for sure. Fortress or HyDra is the only like toss up.
Yeah,
And you gotta
bro.
think Optic will have the higher seed here, so they will get to pick first map. So it won't be LAG's pick map one anyway.
You're right. Fuck. Yeah. No, I still think Optic wins it, but I'm trying to picture these vetoes in my head, and these are going to be very weird. That's going to be a very weird series veto wise.
So then, do we want to stick with what'll be next on broadcast? This matchup?
Yeah, I think winners will play first.
Winners will?
Yeah, because this is top 4, right? So I think top 4 is on Sunday. Winners play, and then loser plays, and the winner plays. Yeah.
Alrighty, so we have NYSL in the winners final versus Toronto Ultra.
This is gonna be a Toronto Ultra show. So yeah, I think Ultra has been incredibly good. And I think MY showed a slight bit of weakness. But I think matchup wise, this is a good matchup for both of these teams, to be honest. I don't think this is like one team is gonna bully the other type of matchup. I could see Ultra bringing this out with a Neslo win. I think they could 2-3-5 them, lose both hard points, and take this down 3-2.
Yeah, I think Ultra are going to win this just because they've looked cleaner. New York and Ultra is just going to be a banger of a match. But I think Ultra are going to definitely make the finals this time around. We saw their potential at Raleigh. We've seen them make improvements online and look even better. And I think Ultra is just going to show that at the major, and they're gonna beat New York in this matchup.
And then the fateful matchup, the rematch of today's reverse sweep. FaZe versus Optic.
I'm excited for this. I hope this happens either whether it's the winner bracket, the loser bracket, whatever. I hope this happens at the event. Because I think FaZe is gonna do what they should have done today, which is just smoke them out the venue in a 3-0. We kind of see what happens when FaZe is on point. They obviously, took care of business map 1, took care of business map 2, and then let map 3 slide. And so I think, for me, I think FaZe is just going to absolutely dominate Optic here. And Optic will go home with a typical top 4. That's nothing to be sad about. But I think FaZe is on their way to a grand final here.
I'm going to give it to FaZe as well, simply because I don't see a world where the vetoes at least are going to benefit FaZe or benefit Optic, at least in the respawns. And I think that FaZe is going to see the vetoes that they had today. And obviously now that they've played against Optic and they've seen a lot more of Optic, they're probably not going to make the same mistakes, because I think playing them on Fortress Search was a mistake. I think they should have played them on Mercado or left that open for potential pick, because I feel like FaZe plays at least that Mercado a lot better if it's going to be in the series. When I watched them play against, like, I think it was like Surge or something, they were just flying at that A bomb site and like playing it really fast paced. While OpTic, when they play that map, I feel like they just rely on a lot of like slow rounds and late flanks from like Shotzzy and pinches. And I don't feel like that's a consistent way of playing. Remember, I told you how they rely a lot on these like individual plays, whether it's like a sniper takeover or like finding gaps, where they're not like, they don't have like a full game plan a lot of these rounds. It's just like, oh, we're going to, look for a gap. And I think FaZe is going to clean up their vetoes a little bit in this series, and they're probably still going to get more of their stronger maps. And I think FaZe is just going to beat them this time around. They're going to close out the series.
Beautiful. So
and
we
you
have.
gotta think, if Dashy doesn't go off in game 4, if respawns don't happen, some unlucky situation S&D, they probably beat them today anyway.
Yeah,
so.
they had a superstar performance this series. Dude, he broke records.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Bruce can't do that consistently, but like, is he gonna break records again?
It's tough to rely on that.
Who knows?
In
you
anything.
can't rely on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I would argue FaZe are a better land team than this OpTic squad.
Yeah. I mean, FaZe are just consistent. I feel like they're always getting these performances out of most of their players. While OpTic, I still am not sure how consistent this team is going to be yet. Yeah. But hey, they can prove us wrong, man. They have a strong showing at this tournament.
Yeah,
we'll start being able to rely on this OpTic team a lot more consistently versus these top teams.
We will see. So, elimination final. One team goes home with a nice third place medal. One team goes on to play Toronto Ultra. We have NYSL versus Atlanta FaZe.
And it's not that bad because the flight from Boston to NYSL or to New York is a very quick one, James. So I don't feel too bad for the subliners here. But they will be packing their bags. They will be checking out of their hotel, and they will be headed to the airport back home because Atlanta FaZe is on their way to another grand final, and they are going to be dusting the subliners here in a 3-1 victory, losing the first hard point and winning the next 3 maps. And we're going to be getting a FaZe Ultra Winners Round 2 rematch, solidifying them both as the top 2 teams in the game, with NYSL at a close third. And NYSL is going to go home with a typical first and then third place finishes at the 2 majors, but it's going to be a Ultra FaZe grand final.
I got New York.
What the hell, Chris?
Yeah, New York. New York is still a lot more polished of a team than FaZe is. I feel like FaZe, outside of their S&Ds, have been still very inconsistent, while I feel like New York has a good footing on pretty much every map or every mode. They've been experimenting with their map pool a little bit. The vetoes for this series are going to get pretty interesting. And I don't see FaZe being able to squeak out some of their better hard points in these series, because I think New York can kind of just get rid of, like, for example, Embassy hardpoint. And they're still going to be good at HyDra. They're still going to be good at Hotel. They play that a lot. They're good at Fortress. Like, they're going to be able to squeak out, I think, the map pool a little bit better than FaZe will. So I think New York is going to beat them here. But you can never count out FaZe.
Yeah, you can't.
But you're counting them out. You're counting them out, though, Chris.
Not necessarily. You never know, man. I'm just saying it's not always going to be clean cut.
You're
it's
secretly thinking FaZe is going to advance.
No, it's never clean cut. It's never clean cut
James,
like that when you get to the tail end of these tournaments.
I have two comments, one question. I'm going to go with FaZe. I think that the Toronto Ultra versus FaZe matchup for grand finals makes sense to me. Now, I do have a question for you, Parasite. If OpTic were to come out and win that FaZe series, do you think they could beat the subliners?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Fair enough.
Not if New York is playing at the level they've been at the qualifier, and even like at Raleigh. Like, they're dominant right now.
There you have it. One final matchup, boys. Final.
I honestly hope, even if our bracket is wrong, I hope this is the grand finals. I think this will be an absolute banger of the grand finals, a banger of a match. Keep in mind though, it will be a best of 7, correct?
Yeah.
So that kind of changes things a little bit in this matchup.
Ultra's map pool's better.
I just want to say, I do think that any of the final 4 teams that we have, I think in a grand final will make for a really good grand final, regardless of what it ends up being. But
that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Unless it was like an NY OpTic one. No one wants to see
just
that.
the opposite. Anyways.
So yeah, this will be a best of 7, and Ultra coming from winners will have a slight veto advantage. I don't think that'll play too big of a factor here, though. I know you said Ultra's map pool is better. That's probably true. But I don't think FaZe is like bad at maps to where it would affect them by not having a veto advantage. And it's still a best of 7, not a best of 9, which is a little bit different. I'm gonna go Atlanta FaZe taking home your Major 2 tournament. This will also mean that Binjay Nassim will be shaved completely bald, both beard and hair. And yeah, I just think FaZe is they're due, right? Like, to me, FaZe is just due. They've been due, they're still due. And I think this will be a great grand final for Ultra to get here and kind of like start this Ultra ride that I think they're going to have the rest of the year. They've only gotten better since this game has came out. So I just think we're going to get one of those dominant Abizi Celium performances. I think also Slasher in a grand final environment is an elevated player. And so I just think there's going to be an experience factor here where these guys are used to a grand final more so than some of these Ultra players. And I think they're just going to come out hot, do their thing, and take it home 4-2.
Yeah, I could see the experience and all that stuff playing a factor, but just thinking about it, Ultra in a best of 7, there's 2 controls and 2 searches. And although like FaZe has looked pretty damn good at search, I think Ultra also has looked great at search to the point where they can take it. But in the control, it's been dominance, absolute dominance out of Ultra. Those guys, I don't even know what their control record is now, but it's got to be ridiculous.
I think it's like 5-0 in the stage.
Yeah, it's absurd. And I feel like they can take it on any of those maps that they play.
How many controls are in a best of 7 though, Chris? It's only 1, right?
It's 2. No, it's 2 controls and 2 searches. So
wait, so it's 3 hard points? Yeah. So so I think Ultra wins both controls, and that's the only 2 maps they win. FaZe is dominant at search, and FaZe is going to do their thing in hardpoint because you're going to sell a BZ performance. Chris, you wrote the script for me, bro.
Nah.
4-2.
I'm still giving this to I'm gonna give this to Ultra. Map count wise. Oh, by the way the series works, it's hardpoint, search, control, hardpoint, search, control, search, I think.
Yeah.
No, that would be wrong. That would be 3 S&Ds, no?
It's hardpoint, search, control,
hardpoint
control, S&D, I think.
Yeah.
So it's 2 of each.
Am I fried, bro? I don't remember how this series works.
Is it 2 hardpoint, 2 controls,
it's hardpoint, search,
3 searches?
Hardpoint, search, control, hardpoint, search, control, search, right?
That's 6 maps,
I don't know, bro. I give up. I just know that when I played a best of 7 for my Challenger Cup, I was told it was 2 controls and 2 searches.
Okay.
Wait, but you're saying it's 3 searches.
I don't know how it works. Oh, I think it's I think I remember now.
Well, bro, we play every game mode twice. You play every game mode twice, and then you play an extra one.
Hardpoint, search, control, hardpoint, control. Yeah, hardpoint, control, S&D. That's what.
Bro, edit this out.
Oh my god!
I don't know anymore.
We're just edging them on to what our final pick is. We're just pushing it off and off.
Either way, James. Either way, it's coming down to you. Because
now I do want to ask before I pick. I do want to ask, like, as a competitor, what do you guys prefer for grand finals to be when it comes to
this is the easiest
format.
Best of 11 continuation series.
Best of 11 continuation. If you haven't matched up in the tournament, you play a best of 5. If the winners win it, they go home. They're the champions. If the losers win it, Then the format extends to a best of 11, keeping the same map record of the first best of 5. So even if you come from losers and you 3-0 the winner team, well, now it's a best of 11, you're up 3-0. It's the best format that Call of Duty's ever had. MLG had it. You extend to a best of 11. The winner has a real advantage. All they got to do is win the series, first, and they win. And if the losers come out, then they're at a small deficit, but they still have a chance. So it is by far the best format. I've been in both sides of coming from losers in a continuation and coming from winners. And I hope one day we will return, but I know we probably won't.
You never know. Clip it, ship it, put it on Twitter.
Please continue.
Start a petition.
Two best of 5 suck because the team could lose the tournament but win more maps. So I don't know why we ever switched to the 2 best of 5s. That format blows. The single best of 9 blows. Veto advantage, map event, who cares? Best of 7s blow. Let's go back to the old days of the best of 11 continuation, and let's get back to the glory days of competitive Call of Duty.
Alrighty.
Dude,
well,
it's still irking me that I don't know this format, but go ahead.
Yeah, James, you still got to pick our winner.
I when I made up this format, I was thinking like I maybe have to pick one. You guys have put some hard shots on me, let alone grand finals. But I just think that the streak continues. That Atlanta FaZe just can't win a grand finals.
James, come on, you know they're due.
I know they're due, but I see Scrappy playing with a chip on his shoulder, getting his first big one.
But James, Celium, Abizi, Simp.
I know, but I saw Celium, Abizi, and Simp get reverse sweep today, so I don't know.
Yeah, but they should have won that. Come on.
Either way. Toronto, I sound like you last year. Toronto Ultra are the Major 2 champions.
Let's go.
World champions, James. You're gonna be saying that for champs, but not here. Not here.
You think they're winning champs this year?
Yeah.
That's your pick again? You're doubling down?
Yeah, they'll win champs this year. But FaZe will be the Major 2 champions, just not the reverse sweep episode Major 2 champions.
Never wrong. You love to see it. You love to see it. Anyways, so that is our official bracket. Screenshot it, ship it. We're going to submit it to the pick'ems. If we get it 100% correct, Aches is giving away a second jersey and that check behind him to one of you lucky fans.
That actually cost a lot of money to make, surprisingly.
Really?
Like we didn't get those from Call of Duty. Like they send us the like the PDF file or whatever it is, and they tell us like the sizing of the board, and then you had to like go and get it customly made. So it's that way for the complexity check and the EG one. But
you just got checks lying all around the office, huh?
I mean, when you're a 2-time world champion, James, that's what happens.
Anyways, guys, we do have a small community segment after our official bracket. Let's go back to the full main screen while we cover this. Either way, I think it's going to be an electric tournament. First proper tournament in Boston. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Again, I know we mentioned earlier 1,000 sub goal before we get on to these community questions for a signed Aches jersey. There was only one really question that stood out when I looked through all of them. Again, a lot of people wondering where Doug is. Guys, Doug's back next episode. You don't have to worry anymore. We got Doug back. But the one question for you two that I snagged was, who are your current favorite players in the CDL? One favorite player in the CDL.
Pretty sure you can go first.
For me, it's got to be Shotzi. I think his personality is just far and wide one of the best personalities we have. He's always cracking jokes. He's hilarious. He's also got the skill to back it. He plays very unique. He kind of reminds me of the way Karma used to play back in the day. Maybe not necessarily with pure his like aggression, but he plays very unorthodox. And I think that's something that Karma had in his gameplay that was very special. And he's got the personality. So Shotzi's definitely one of my favorite players, and he's a cool dude, man. He's a good friend of mine. So that's my pick.
Pat?
This might throw people off guard, James, but mine's actually going to be accuracy. It is impressive to me what he's able to do year after year. Make it to grand finals, sometimes win an event. but throwing up the absolute stinkers and having some of the best talent around him in the game. It's extremely tippable, and for that reason, Lamar, you are my favorite player in the CDL.
I love that. Well, that is going to do it, I think, for today's episode. Favorite players locked in. I think we're all going to Boston, so I'll see you lovely gentlemen there. There's going to be a bunch of content
Wait, is this
coming
the first
out.
time we're meeting you? I've never met you.
I've met Chris. I haven't met you though. Yeah, I've met, and I've met Doug too. Yeah, I met Doug and Ian. So yeah, you're the last one. We got to get you.
Oh, Boston it is.
There we go. Boston it is. Tri-tip New York steaks on Pat. Anyways, let's close this one out. We're gonna be happy to see you guys next week. We'll see who ends up crowning winner. Maybe we end up with a perfect bracket. Who knows? Either way, thank you guys for tuning in today. And as always, we'll see you next week. Deuces.
Salute.